Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Estate. It's that simple. My name is Rick Garcia, and I'm along with KG Real Estate veteran Phil Nordella. And by the way, we hope as you're at home, that you're practicing your safer at home routine. And it's something I think a lot of us have been kind of going into that groove of as we continue to try to take on this coronavirus that's going on right now. And by the way, my kids have been at home from school for a couple of weeks, so we've been practicing it for a little while now. And hopefully you're doing that.
Which is smart. And you know what? Actually, I'm starting to rethink my slogan. Real estate, it's that simple. Right?
Well, has it gotten complicated?
Well, it's a little more complicated than it was.
But here's the deal. I keep saying this. Part of our job here at this radio station at KHTS is to bring you a public service. We're going to keep you updated all throughout the day with what's going on related to the coronavirus, things that can help you get through this very interesting time. We will do that. The KHTS newsroom is they're veterans of these wars. We've been through things like this. This is something I know that's a little more unique, but we will get through this as well. And so we're going to do our best at this radio station, no matter which show you're listening to throughout the day. We're going to give you the most updated information, and in fact, we're going to have some wonderful information on this show regarding coronavirus.
And I got to tell you, absolutely, this show is imperative. It's very, very important. But I got to tell you something this morning. I love my wife. She's just awesome, right? So from her work, she texts me and she says, when you get in there, you wipe down the counters, you wipe down everything, you wipe down the microphone, you wipe down everything because people are there before you. And I know it comes from a position of love. And I said, yeah, I can't do everything. It's hard for me to wipe down the microphone because obviously there's this little thing on here. And she goes, just cover it. She goes, bring a plastic bag. There's some plastic bags in the little counter there. Just cover with a plastic bag. And I'm just starting to think now, I'm not a veteran like you are, but I'm just thinking if I cover the microphone with a plastic bag, will we be in business? I mean, you'll be doing the show on your own, right?
Sound like we're underwater.
And so all I did was I just put a bunch of little hearts, and I love you. And that's
You're adorable.
all I said.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea.
But then when you
I don't know how
through it,
practical
I don't know how the sound gets through the plastic.
You'd be doing the show by yourself.
It would just sound a little different, that's all.
Yep.
Listen, the world goes on, life goes on.
Yes.
It's important, again, that you pay attention to your local health officials. And again, this radio station is going to provide you with complete and updated information throughout the day. But things still happen in our world. We're gonna try to establish some balance as we go throughout the day, so that it's not 100% 24/7 coronavirus. Because we know you want to live your lives. We know you don't want the last thing we need to do is be consumed with something that we can fight and will fight. So this show will go on. Many of the shows throughout the day will go on, and we will try to continue to maintain a balance of keeping you entertained, keeping you interested, but also keeping you informed.
Absolutely.
So with that, let's do by the numbers.
SCV, by the numbers.
Yay!
Okay, so you'd think that as of right now, that because everything has been affected, you'd think the numbers would be skewed when it comes to real estate, when it comes to active under contract and closed transactions, and it doesn't seem it. Although the active last week, the active listings, which means that listings that are actually for sale right now, last week was 280. It jumped to 341. What does that tell us? That tells us that people are, it's kind of like people in the stock market, I think, and they're saying, well, you know what, we don't know what's going to happen to values, so maybe we want to list and sell as if, they were selling their stocks. That's the only thing that I can think of when it comes to the spike. I've got a listing appointment tomorrow, and I'll talk to you about that in the third segment. So we have active under contracts and pendings was 486. Now it's 497. Those really haven't changed, and those are the ones active under contracts and pendings are the ones that actually listed their house. Somebody came in, wrote them an offer. They actually said yes, we will take the offer, and they've actually opened escrow. Closed in the last 30 days was 289. That jumped up to 330. So we've had a lot of. There's been a spike in closings. Canceled, which is interesting, has gone up a little bit. To 28, I think it was 22, but canceled listings. And the other thing I think of is if people decide to cancel listings, is they've decided that they don't want strangers coming into their house and maybe for some reason being infected, which
Right.
makes sense.
Makes sense. That's understandable.
Absolutely. So mortgage rates. Here's the thing: the Fed drop their mortgage rates to 0. Would you like to know how many people called me up and said, "Are interest rates 0?"
Yeah. No. Because
A ton.
That's why the show exists, because we don't get
Yeah.
much of what's happening in the world when it comes to finances and real estate and things like that. So the Fed drops its rate. That's the rate it charges banks
Exactly.
to get money,
Yep.
and it
And
went to 0. So what does that mean?
It actually means that that the overnight loans between the biggest financial institutions in the U.S., that's the actual Fed rate, okay? That doesn't actually equate, although it's possible to where if you have that kind of a drop in the Fed rate, it can actually bleed over through to mortgage rates. However, mortgage rates right now, and I got this from Marla Ferris at Augusta Financial, mortgage rates, you'd think that'd be low 3s because of the 0 Fed rate. They're not. They're 4.5. So
They went up a little bit after
have.
the Fed dropped its rate to 0.
They have. And you know what? I don't know why this is, but I think it was one of the reasons that has slowed down. They're trying to slow it down a little bit by actually having them a little bit higher, because so many people decided at 3.5 they want to refi.
Refi, right?
And it's like, holy
Comes
cow.
to my mind, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But still at 4%, 4.5%, historically low
Ridiculously
interest
low.
rates. Right.
It's crazy low.
Yeah.
And if you can still lock in at that, I think that's a
Okay.
great thing.
So it's understandable people would be waiting on the sidelines. We're going to talk a little bit later on in the show about how you can take advantage of these moments. You're going to be at home anyway. You can still do some shopping. They can do that through your website.
Absolutely.
Look at homes. Think about applications. Trying to get qualified, things like that.
Yep.
That you have to do anyway when you decide to buy a home. You might as well get that out of the way. This is a good time to do it from home.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about that in a moment. All right.
You betcha.
In the meantime, we also we want to talk about the safer at home idea. We thought it would be very important on this show to bring a doctor on board. His name is Dr. Jeff Nordella. If you're in the community right now and listening, you're familiar with that name.
Name sounds
Not only is it
familiar,
the guy that
actually.
hosts this show right now,
Name sounds familiar.
Phil Nordella, but he was a doctor in Santa Clarita for many, many, many years. In fact, he's got 35 years experience as a clinician. He's also trains in family and emergency medicine. And right now, Dr. Jeff Nordella is really kind of on the front lines of a lot of this coronavirus, the fighting that's going on. And we want to invite him on the show. Dr. Nordella, thanks for joining us on the show. Why don't you tell us what being on the front lines means?
Well, good morning. I think, again, just interfacing face-to-face, and unfortunately some of them not now. We're doing more telephonic medicine and trying to stay out of the contagious path. But it's just interfacing with the physician directly with patients.
So are you actually giving tests? Have you been conducting any testing at all?
No, and actually, testing is just basically kind of come online to where now, prior, this Department of Public Health was doing the testing and sent it to the CDC lab. So there are two issues with testing. One is collection, and the other is actually doing the assay. So the sample has to be collected, nasal and mouth or oropharyngeal, and then those Q-tips are then sent to a lab with a chain of custody that allows then the lab to perform the assay to tell it it's positive, and there's a turnaround time with that, which we can discuss later.
So let's talk. Let's start from the beginning, okay? For us neophytes, what is the coronavirus? What is it exactly?
Well, you should think of a virus as really, it's a non-living particle, and what that means is it just does not have its own metabolism. So it's kind of like an object that sits on your desk, but obviously can only be seen through electron microscopy, which is very, 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 very small. So it is a protein capsule or contained a container through and protects a chemical called RNA. It's a single strand, and it's kind of like the chemical brain. So that has to attach to your cells with either in your nose or your throat, as it's a respiratory route mainly transported to a patient to contaminate them. Once it's attached, it injects its chemical brains into your own cells, and the first cells are that, let's say, at the back of the throat or the nose, and then it uses your cell machinery to manufacture more of its kind. So think of it like assembling a train. You have to put car after car after car, and once the cars are all locked together and in order, it then destroys the cell and allows these viral particles to go out into the atmosphere. So therefore, if you sneeze, cough, Kleenex, hand towels, whatever, it gets attached to that, lives for X amount of time. Someone comes along, they either inhale the respiratory droplets that you've received cough from an infected person, and it just increases its propagation and infects the society.
Dr. Jeff Nordella is on Real Estate It's That Simple. We are talking about the battle against this coronavirus. And let me ask you this, Doctor. The governor of California just instituted the new Safer at Home. We'll call it a policy. I keep trying to tell people, and I think we're getting used to this idea that that's a good thing. That there's a really good, there's a method to this madness and the sacrifice that we're all making.
Yes, I think it's a mechanism of control. It concerns me. They talk about this curve, and we don't want to infect everybody at the same time, simplistically, so we don't overwhelm the healthcare capacity of our system. So what we want to do is we want to blunt that, but we're still going to get infected people. It's just going to be spread out over time. So we'll have the healthcare system that would basically be able to handle a lower volume for a longer period of time.
So
I think that's what that's doing.
Yeah. Now, okay, so this is one of the things that scared me. Obviously, they were saying the elderly. I've never ever looked at myself as elderly, and yet I fit into that
Category.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but it's one of those things. It's not necessarily just that if you are actually older, what's considered. You have to be in poor health, right, for it actually to maybe affect you more. What would be considered poor health to you?
Well, I think that everything you have to look ties back to the immune system. Your immune system, like today, you could not go out and run track. Your body over time breaks down. It's not as efficient. You're not producing the same chemicals, the rate of chemical reactions in the body, and that all translates to immunity. And I think this is going to be the major mechanism. As you get older, age is an issue, and any other, what they call comorbidities. It's a big word for basically, do you have any other diseases? Do you have heart disease? Do you have lung disease? Are you an asthmatic, COPD? Have you had cancer in the past and either at present being treated or have had chemotherapy in the past? Renal disease, smoking, all of these things kind of translates to a poorer health of your immune system, which then offers less resistance for the propagation of that virus through your body.
So how contagious is this? I mean, is it one of those things to where you feel that if you were in a room with somebody and all of us and they left, that if you walked into that same room, you're probably going to get it? I mean, how contagious is it?
Well, you can't really state that. Patients ask that all the time. And I say, well, gosh, if I had it and I coughed on 100 people, how many people would I get it? They do have an epidemiology measurement. It's called the R-naught. And basically it is a measurement of an infected person and how many other people they will infect in the normal society. So the flu virus, for example, if you have one person gets affected, he will infect 1.3 other persons. With this, the COVID, they have, for one person, it will affect between 2 and 3.1. So we know it's certainly more contagious than that of the influenza.
Dr. Jeff Nordella is with us. He's a primary physician with training in family and emergency medicine. Doctor, one of the reasons, I guess, for the safer at home policy is that we have to kind of think of others as we kind of try to navigate through this situation, and the fact that we don't want to spread this to people. I don't want my kids to spread this to their grandparents and so on and so forth, and or people that we know that may be ill. So that's important. It sounds like a lot of us, and this is just straight facts, a lot of us are going to wind up getting this. A lot of us may not even know that we've gotten it, and a lot of us are going to recover from this. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think the initial stats are showing that obviously the majority of people definitely will recover, even in particular age groups. So if you read the literature, I think the latest, and I've seen in between above 80, the mortality rate is 15 to 22%. When you look at the other side of that, does that mean that 85% survive? And the answer is yes. But if you're the one, or the family member is the one, that's what we want to try and really remove. And I think an important point is that, when you go home and you're quarantined, so if you have a positive test or you just have symptoms that are positive and you say, go home, quarantine yourself, you are really not treating a patient. You're treating more society. In fact, then you create a household contact with your children, your spouse, your parents if they're living with you, and that I think needs to be stated to people. So there's really no treatment there. It's more of a treatment for society.
Well, let me put a positive spin on that. Sending everybody to the hospital if they have symptoms, probably not a good idea. I think it's suggested, obviously, that we do our best to confine ourselves to a room if somebody in your house has it. Have a separate set of dishes for that person as they eat. Stay away from everybody in the house. You're right. You can't avoid the possibility of spreading it. But I also think one of our issues we're going to be faced with is as more people become positive and people get sicker, what's that going to do to our hospitals?
Well, clearly, and that's why I'm hoping very shortly the powers that be will basically pull the trigger for a treatment program, which I'm very excited about, which is the hydroxychloroquine.
And I'm going to interrupt you on that. I'm going to interrupt you on that because
Sure.
there's been a lot of news about that, and we want to talk more about that. If you don't mind, we're going to do that after we take a little break here. Dr. Jeffrey Nordella is on our show with Rick Garcia and Phil Nordella. He's a primary physician with training in family and emergency medicine, 35 years of experience as a clinician. And we're going to talk about this new medication that came up. It's been around for a while. It's not new, but it may be a new treatment. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Awesome. Perfect.
If you're thinking of selling your home, have Phil Nordella come out and give you a free, no obligation property valuation. Just call 661-312-3561. It's that simple.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Mold contamination is a growing concern for all of us, especially in our homes. Golden State Mold Inspections is Santa Clarita's leading mold inspectors. Be sure to protect yourself and your family with a professional mold inspector. Golden State Mold Inspections can identify mold problems and future mold challenges. Call the mold professionals, Golden State Mold Inspections. Visit their website for details, goldenstatemoldinspections.com. That's goldenstatemoldinspections.com.
My name is Frank. I'm the proud owner and operator of Braveheart Termite and Pest Control. I've been doing this for over 25 years. Call me for your termite needs and concerns. If you're in real estate and need a quality home inspection, call me today. You'll have those reports same day or within 24 hours. I will help you solve your issue with what needs to be done and nothing extra. Call me so you can have freedom from termites. 661-373-2617. That's 373-2617.
Take the stress out of moving. Affordable Quality Moving and Storage has been owned and operated in Santa Clarita since 1996. They excel at relieving you of the pressures of moving. You can be assured your belongings are safe and will arrive at your new location, whether it's down the street or across the country. Discover the difference. AQMS, Affordable Quality Moving and Storage. Read the reviews online at aqmsnationalmoving.com. AQMS, Santa Clarita's favorite moving company.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Let's talk about insurance. Are your rates skyrocketing year after year, or do you feel like you would benefit from a professional advisor that works for you? Give the great team at Voy Insurance Solutions a call. Voy works with dozens of the best insurance companies to help you obtain competitive rates and comprehensive coverage. Homeowners, auto, business, and life insurance. Voy Insurance. Right price, right coverage, right now. Mention the Phil Nordella Show and get a free $10 Starbucks card. Visit voyinsurance.com. That's voyinsurance.com.
Marla Ferris at Augusta Financial is the consummate mortgage professional, committed to helping you turn your dream of homeownership into reality. With more than 22 years in the finance mortgage industry, Marla brings extensive experience and top knowledge to help make your loan experience hassle-free. Given her honesty, integrity, and attention to detail, she is the loan officer you can trust. Marla knows what it takes to get you the best loan, the best rate, and the best service in the industry. You'll find Marla Ferris at Marla, FERRIS.com.
If you're looking for an SCV-based home design firm you can trust, look no further. Style My Space is a recognized leader in luxury vacant home staging and interior design projects for all of northern Los Angeles County since 2006. Their 5-star reputation for beautiful staging installations helps sellers realize up to 10% higher offers in as little as 1/3 the time as non-staged homes. Get an instant quote on our website at stylemyspace.com. That's stylemyspace.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. My name is Rick Garcia along with Phil Nordella at KHTS AM 1220 and FM 98.1. We have Dr. Jeff Nordella, who's a primary physician with training in family and emergency medicine and 35 years experience as a clinician. We're just getting the latest, the bullet points on the coronavirus.
Yep. And Dr. Jeff, you had told me a couple of weeks ago about this medicine that is already FDA approved called hydroxychloroquine. You told me 2 weeks ago. I thought, that sounds great, awesome. And yet we continue to hear more and more and more about it. Talk to us about that. Tell us what it is. And is it good news like we think it is?
I think so. I think that the FDA has approved the drug. It's been around for a long time, and it's targeted really the hydroxychloroquine. And this is, I think, important. It's a little confusing on the news today. When you watch it, they talk about chloroquine versus hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine, better known as Plaquenil, is the drug I would select. It is used more for rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Sjogren's syndrome, autoimmune diseases. And by the way, people would say, well, why would you use a medication that suppresses your immunity? Well, it actually doesn't. And there's a lot of positive effects of this medication. I would not choose the chloroquine because of the side effect profile is a bit more severe. So it has been around. The FDA has not approved this yet for the treatment of coronavirus, but we do have an FDA-approved drug. So each physician at their discretion or healthcare provider has the ability to use this medication. It just has to be their call. I'm going to probably put on Facebook on Monday the clinical parameters I believe should call out for the use of this. And I think this could be a game changer because, as we talked about before, going home and doing the appropriate thing and isolating is great. But if we had a medication we could treat a patient with that did stop the propagation of the virus, because the virus can go from, as we know, just like a sore throat, fever, dry cough, fatigue, all the way to what they call ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, and be on a ventilator. So what we want to do is we want to prevent that scenario where it goes from point A to point Z. So somewhere along there we want to intervene, and that is the unknowns right now. Though the FDA is looking at it very hard and trying to do their double-blind studies, but that might take months, and that concerns me.
Right. They're saying 12 to 18 months before we're going to know anything, and it's like, oh boy.
Now when we start from scratch trying to, in fact, come up with a vaccine, that's just the standard protocol, was that you want to test it as much as possible to make sure you're not making somebody sicker with something else. But this is an already approved medication, and this isn't uncommon that we use medications for one thing and we discover they're helpful for another thing. Dr. Nordella, how is this particular drug helpful in the fight against coronavirus? How does it work?
Well, basically, it's very interesting because the drug was studied along with zinc, which inhibited intracellular function of an enzyme known as RNA polymerase. So that's what we want to shut down. If the virus gets into your cell, remember, it has to use your machinery to lock these boxcars up to make new virus. So if we can, it does that through an enzyme, has to put the cars together. So if we block that enzyme, it will not put those cars together. The virus will not survive. So that's what it's doing. So along with the hydroxychloroquine, and just standard levels of zinc has been found that the zinc will influx into a cell and inhibit that enzyme. The chloroquine works by a little bit different mechanism of action. So, again, it's very effective. If you look at this virus, the virus on its capsule has little proteins that will attack the kidney, the GI tract, the heart, and the lung. And it does it through what they call angiotensin, if you hear about that. So it will bond to those tissues. Now, this drug, 40% of it, is excreted through the kidney. So if I can penetrate my kidney with this drug, can I protect it from blocking that effect of kidney disease from the virus? And I believe you can. It also, at the end, when you get to the most severe illness in the patients, those that are in the ICU starting to go on the vent, it corresponds, I think, to a viral load. And what that means is that the virus is really cranking out, it's really manufacturing, and you have a very high virus count in your serum. With this, we don't want to get it there. So early treatment, I think, is going to be key using this benign medication that has been around for years.
And so this hydroxychloroquine also has started to catch fire, not just locally, but in the world, right? I mean, some of the stuff that we've heard.
Yes, actually, the initial studies came from South Korea and China, and then confirmed by France, and now supposedly initially have been confirmed in the U.S. And have a lot of promise. But the question right now is, do physicians want to, at their discretion, pull the trigger and start treating patients with this medication? Now, like with all medications, there are side effects. If you can drink too much water and have a side effect, but so you have to be screened appropriately for those potential side effects. And the biggest one is basically nausea and diarrhea. Can cause some headache and dizziness are the very benign ones. The side effect profile has been studied that it has severe side effects. Usually are those people who have rheumatoid arthritis who have taken this for years. So those more serious, which are eye and heart of the side effects, are in those patients. But nothing in medicine is black and white. So you can have problems with the medication. But if you look at the risk and the benefits, to me, if I can curb that inpatient, or I can curb the severity of this virus walking through a patient and stop it early on, so he does not get to those viral load counts that are high that affect all organ systems, and he gets very sick, by treating this early with this medication and stopping the replication and propagation of the virus, I think that would be a victory.
We're talking to Dr. Jeff Nordella. We were trying to get as many updates as we can. We want to stick now, if we can, as we get in the home stretch here, Dr. Jeff, with the silver linings. This medication that you're talking about could be that. What else can you tell the folks out there that are listening, that are a little nervous tonight, that are thinking about their families or their loved ones or themselves? What would your advice to them be in these moments?
Well, it's difficult. We are in uncharted waters, obviously. I've never lived through something like this as a physician. So, bottom line is we need to expedite. Expedite is key. We need to stay balanced and get this information. And I was hoping the FDA would release this, even though we don't need the FDA to release it. And physicians in your community in Santa Clarita can use this medication now. And in fact, I think it's being looked at, it's being talked about. I think it will hit that trigger point and that people will start to release it for treatment. So I think there is some hope in that.
So it seems like that, obviously, it sounds like a no-brainer. I mean, realistically, you're my brother. If for some reason I got this, you would actually probably prescribe this to me to help me and my family, obviously. And it sounds like there's not what is to be gained and what is to be lost. What is to be gained is it could save my life. What is to be lost is I may get some diarrhea and a little bit of nausea and it kind of, I don't know, it sounds like a no-brainer to me. I'm hoping this catches on.
Listen, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Jeff, but you do understand that when you use a medication for one issue and it hasn't been tested on another issue, we don't know entirely how it's going to work, or if there could be some different side effects as a result of that. So I think we can all understand why folks are being conservative. This seems like a good way to go, and it sounds like, Dr. Jeff, it's going to be here sooner than later in terms of being able to prescribe it. But there is a method to the madness of trying to make sure. We've tried this with other things, we just haven't tried it with coronavirus.
Well, correct. We haven't tried it in proper fashion, but in Europe it's been looked at, and they're a little bit ahead of our curve, I believe. So there, again, is some positive initial studies. But again, the drug has been around. We do know the history. We do know the science of the medication. You are taking this medication literally probably max 7 to 10 days. So I look at and say, okay, risk and benefits. The key to any physician, I think, identifying a patient is going to be of their own discretion. Right now, I would target that patient above 55 that has those comorbidities we talked about. And I think what is very key is fever. When an adult gets a fever, that to me is an indication of how much virus they might have in the blood. So if someone came in with, a documented fever, not that I just feel warm, they document a temp, which I highly suggest that people start trying to go back to the old mercury thermometer at home and pick them up in a pharmacy to document their temperature. And those patients are the ones I would highly suggest be treated with this medication. And then we're going to have to wait and watch. And again, we're in uncharted waters. Yeah. The treatment of this in a community could actually be a study within itself.
And I think, Dr. Jeff, your thinking on this is hydroxychloroquine. It's sort of a way to get us through this moment till we find a vaccine. Is that the idea? Because it's not a cure, it's a treatment, correct?
Absolutely. Unlike we have no treatment. So, one could look at it and say, okay, well, you send a patient home and you quarantine them, that's fine. But what treatment are we offering them? It really doesn't affect the virus propagating in that one patient. this would be intervening potentially in the replication process of that virus. And if we can, it's kind of like, think of the analogy of having a small fire versus a forest fire. If I can get that small fire under control quickly, it never gets to a forest fire. So what makes it get to the forest fires, we talked about all those comorbidities. So I want to stomp that fire out initially. And if I can do this with this medication without hurting a patient, we certainly don't want to do that. It would be, to me, definitely a win-win. Now you stop the propagation. And when you do that, this then tails off into the entire, along with quarantining, then you're really putting this fire out.
This is all great stuff. We've got about one more minute. I just wanted to talk also, I wanted to ask you about your telehealth business. I think that's such a great idea. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's you can register online through a website and become a patient, and then book an appointment. So you can go in and fill out the slots you want. It's at 20-minute intervals, and we can do anything from addressing this to maybe drug refills and medication refills that people can't get to their doctor. I think when the the news guides you to say call your doctor, I feel bad for those doctors because they can't sit by the phone and wait for a call and get back to you. They're seeing patients unless they have their own telehealth program. So yes, you can interface it through a computer. It's easy, and we can manage quite a bit. Certainly can't manage everything. So that needs to be disclosed, but I think it's also going to be the wave of the future.
Is it pay-as-you-go, or will insurance cover this?
We're looking right now and contracting with a billing company that will be billing the insurance as a courtesy. If payment is received from the insurance company, it will go back to the patient and not to the physician.
And how do they get a hold of what's the website that they could get on?
It's just if you Google J. Nordella, MD, Inc., it should come up. And there are numerous common questions and actually some more specific questions about the coronavirus that we put out as a Q&A. So hopefully that will help educate people. And I think, again, as we can dampen the fear with some solid science, I think it would be good.
Yep, awesome.
All right, Dr. Jeff, we really appreciate you sharing your insight into the fight against coronavirus, and hopefully it allows us to kind of be aware of what's going on and continue to pay attention to our health officials. Dr. Jeff Nordella, thank you for being on the show with Rick Garcia and Phil Nordella. We appreciate that.
Keep up the good work.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to be right back. We are going to talk, believe it or not, about some real estate stuff. If you're one of those people that are not sure about these iBuyers and what that's all about, Phil's going to have some information for you when we come back.
If you're thinking of selling your home, have Phil Nordella come out and give you a free, no obligation property valuation. Just call 661-312-3561. It's that simple.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite Magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
Let's talk about insurance. Are your rates skyrocketing year after year, or do you feel like you would benefit from a professional advisor that works for you? Give the great team at Voy Insurance Solutions a call. Voy works with dozens of the best insurance companies to help you obtain competitive rates and comprehensive coverage. Homeowners, auto, business, and life insurance. Voy Insurance. Right price, right coverage, right now. Mention the Phil Nordella Show and get a free $10 Starbucks card. Visit voyinsurance.com. That's voinsurance.com. Castle Inspection is the top choice for home inspection in Santa Clarita. With over 20 years experience, make Castle Inspection your choice when buying your new condominium or home. From mobile homes to mansions, the outhouse to the penthouse, your best bet is a net from Castle Inspection. An inspection is a fair and objective evaluation of the home's physical and mechanical systems. Expert knowledge, thorough research, and clear communication are what sets a net at Castle above the rest. Schedule your appointment online now at castleinspection.com. Take the stress out of moving. Affordable Quality Moving and Storage has been owned and operated in Santa Clarita since 1996. They excel at relieving you of the pressures of moving. You can be assured your belongings are safe and will arrive at your new location, whether it's down the street or across the country. Discover the difference. AQMS, Affordable Quality Moving and Storage. Read the reviews online at aqmsnationalmoving.com. AQMS, Santa Clarita's favorite moving company.
I love it.
Right on!
Your hometown station.
Welcome back to Real Estate It's That Simple. My name is Rick Garcia, along with real estate veteran Phil Nordella. And Phil, I think we did our part on the public service part with the coronavirus.
And I was excited to hear about that.
And so there's a lot of hope out there in terms of some new treatments and some ideas, and that's good news. And I know a lot of people looking for things to do while they're at home, and there's going to be a lot of binge watching of their favorite movies and shows, so that's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
But you can still pay attention to what's going on in the real estate market. You know, the new looky-loos are the ones that are doing it online now, pretty much, right, Phil?
Yes, and you know the funny thing is, especially with open houses, the looky-loos are the ones you really don't want in your house, right? I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, please stay out. But people are still listing. People are still selling. Okay, and again, it may be for whatever reason. Some people have to list. They have no problem. They have no choice. They actually have to list because they may have to. Maybe they're being transferred or for whatever reason. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things when it comes to the upside and the downside right now of listing a property. And try to remember this. I actually just wrote an article for, I was asked to be the expert contributor to the Stevenson Ranch magazine, and I wrote an article and I realized, you know what, it's going to actually be put in May's magazine. And I thought, just exactly what's going to change between the day that I wrote this and the day that it comes out? Right. I might look like an idiot because it's like, what? So I'm concerned with that, obviously. So here's the upside of outlisting properties right now. Look, maybe the buyers are thinking that they are taking advantage of the current interest rates, and you know what? They want to go out. I've had a lot of actual clients call me up and say, I think it's time. I think it's time for us to pull the trigger, which makes sense. You know, there's certain stocks out there that have actually hit a low, and they say, you know what? I think it's time for me to buy them. People may want to buy because of the interest rates. So I've actually told them, do me a favor, let's wait. I'm not a guy that's going to try to take advantage of the market unless it makes sense, but we don't know where the market's going. So that's first thing. Buyers that are out right now, I will tell you, the upside is the buyers that are out looking at property are serious. It's kind of like during the Christmas holidays. If they're actually looking, and it's the 23rd of December, they're serious.
They're buying,
right? They're not looky-loos, okay? Because it's kind of like the Christmas holiday now, or the holiday time when it comes to, if they're out there, they're serious. Not a ton of buyers are coming through, which is a good thing. So you're not going to get a ton of people right now, and the people that are going to actually be there are going to be serious. Now, here's the downside, okay? The common sense downside says you're exposing yourself and your family. We don't know who these people are. So we try to get them to where if they actually come into the property, we ask them not to touch anything. And please don't breathe while you're in here. I mean, I know it's hard. You can't be in too long without breathing. If you get an offer, however, and here's the downside again, if you're getting an offer, it's going to be less than what you want to take because they think that they're taking advantage of the situation, which is messed up. But it is what it is, right? I took 2 offers on 2 different properties in the last 2 days. One was a condo listed for $379,000. They came in at $350,000. That wasn't going to work. I've got another listing that took an offer. It listed for $749,000. They actually offered us $650,000, $100,000 less. We didn't even counter these. It was one of those things. These are people that are just trying to take advantage of the market. Now, the other thing is, if for some reason you decide to list now and you don't sell currently, what's going to happen is the days on market for the MLS is going to go higher and higher and higher. And this is just a mental block. The mental problem with actually having a home that's been listed and let's say is on the market for 300 days, which is almost a year, it tells the buyers that something might be wrong with your house. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's the time. It has something to do with the fact that they're going to think, what's wrong with it? And the offer then is going to be terrible.
So why hasn't it sold is what pops into people's, what's wrong with it? And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. It just hasn't sold for whatever reason.
Absolutely. So when you add up all of those things, it's like I said, I've got a listing appointment tomorrow, and I'm going to call them tonight. I want to do a phone interview and just say, look, if you need to do this, let's do it. But if you don't, then let's talk about maybe taking our time. It's interesting because when it comes to purchasing property and giving low ball offers, there's the iBuyers.
What are iBuyers again?
iBuyers it's an institutional area that all of these people have all of this money to invest, and what they do is they actually go out, they put offers on 1 million properties, right? And they're all terrible offers, right? They'll take your equity, but you're going to get a certain percentage, maybe 3% that said, okay, I'll take it. Yeah. End of story.
So they come in, they lowball you.
Exactly right. Now
they're offering cash, so it goes quick.
Exactly. And they'll say, you know what, we'll give you a fair offer, what they think is fair, what you think is fair when it comes to the appraised value. And let's say your property might be worth $730, and they'll offer you to where you net $620. Okay,
right.
And that's not a great thing, but you know what? Some people say, hey, I'll take it. I want to get it.
So your advice is don't panic.
Don't panic.
Right.
But a couple of the Open Door and Redfin, they're suspending all home buying things when it comes to their iBuyers.
Okay.
So that's done right now, and I'm sure everybody else will follow because there's a bunch of other ones, OfferPad and Zillow and everything.
Interesting idea from Compass. Tell us about that.
Compass is actually saying, you know what? They're asking Congress to provide aid to realtors.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
So if you're a realtor out there who is now thinking, my livelihood is going to be greatly interrupted over the next couple of months, the idea here is to see if the government can't send checks, I guess, to help independent contractors, which happen to be realtors.
Which is exactly what they're doing, which I find interesting. Don't know whether that'll go through or not, but I just find that interesting.
As we get down to the wire here, we want to make sure we give out your email, not your email, but your website information and your phone number. We're going to do that in a second.
Absolutely.
But we want to finish this show with a really neat story, and hopefully you can get through it.
Don't make fun of me.
You better go.
Don't make fun of me. Okay.
And go.
So you know what? I read this article in Inman, and I think it's just awesome. People, if they've got a family and they're healthy, and one of the things that they're doing is they're putting back up their holiday lights, their Christmas lights. And I think that's absolutely awesome. I know I tried to explain this to you earlier, Rick, and I started to cry.
Yes, you did.
And you know what? I'll try not to do it this time.
But
look, hey, you know what? The kids are out there, and they feel it's hard on them, right? There's a lot of stress.
Mom and dad are stressed, sure.
And to try to make them feel a little bit better, everybody loves the fact that around the holidays, and if this is something that catches on, I think it's awesome. I'm actually going to put Christmas lights up this Sunday.
Yeah.
I know you pay a couple grand for the people to pay. Your
I have
your
to pay
Christmas
somebody because we have a very high roof.
Yeah, you just keep telling people
I can't climb a ladder anymore.
So maybe you can call them and see if they're doing off-season stuff. But I'm going to do it, and I hope it catches on. I know
put
Jerry
the Christmas
and Carl
lights
are
up,
doing
get
it.
people in the spirit
Absolutely.
again.
Make
people
the kids
in a good
feel
mood
a little bit.
Let them know that everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful idea.
Yes.
Okay, so if any realtors have a question for you, as well as home buyers and sellers, so this is open to everybody. How can they reach you?
Absolutely. Just give me a call either at 661-312-3561 or just get on philnordella.com and whatever. Just give me a call. We can talk.
All right, everybody, stay safer at home and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.